Sure. You don't hear the roots of bluegrass in that African music right there, Carol? You didn't hear that? Come on, Carol, tell me you heard that. She didn't hear it. You weren't listening. She says, oh, yes, I think I did hear it. Banjo is an African instrument. Am I right on that? As Raleigh does this big banjo festival, which, I mean, I'm just saying, any African-American folks out there watching, you go to that bluegrass festival, you can see a lot of white people throwing down. Right, Carol? But you need to just go there. Black, white, red, yellow, it doesn't matter. Celebrate the fact that Raleigh, North Carolina is celebrating an African musical instrument today, this week, all week. This Bluegrass Festival, Carol, a lot of people don't know something very important about this Bluegrass Festival. There's a big concert in the evening at the Red Hat Amphitheater that costs like, what, $800 to go to? No, I'm just kidding. It's standard concert tickets. I think it might even be sold out. I'm not sure. If you go to my Twitter page, I link to the Wide Open Bluegrass Festival. Just go to Google Wide Open Bluegrass Raleigh, and it'll come right up. Or Yahoo, or wherever, Ask Jeeves, or whatever. There's no Jeeves in Ask anymore, is there? Just Ask. Anyway, the point is, what's my point, Carol? Oh, yes, the banjo is an African instrument. That was not a banjo, but that was Nubian music from southeastern, or northeastern Africa, near Egypt and around that area. Hamza El-Din was his name. Amazing guitarist, stringed instrument player, and performer. But here's the point. Here's what you don't know. There's that concert at the Red Hat Amphitheater Friday and Saturday night, but all weekend long, there are free concerts, 3 different stages, all up and down Fayetteville Street. Can I just say that, Carol? Free. That's Monkey Time's favorite word. No, Monkey Time's favorite word of all time is buy 2, get 3 free. That's every time I see that at the grocery store, I'm like, I have died and gone to capitalist heaven, right? Buy 2, get 3 free. How is that a losing proposition for anybody? They're still making a profit, I'm sure. Anyway, what's my point? Oh, free. The all up and down Fayetteville Street, all day Friday and all day Saturday. And Carol, there's an open dance tent with an open dance party sponsored by some Rex, UNC, Wake Med, healthcare, conglomerate. In the evenings on Friday and Saturday, there's like a tent where there's a dance tent and there's going to be lessons, and then they're doing open dancing in the middle of downtown. Carol, what is happening with Raleigh? Last weekend, I saw a bunch of Harley-Davidson people. That was a really interesting mix of people. They were the friendliest folks. They were little kids dancing to some wonderful middle-aged woman in front of a bluesy rock band, just belting the crap out, and these little kids were running around dancing, and everybody, black, white, people in wheelchairs, able-bodied folks, everybody it was really great. That was the Harley-Davidson Fest last week, right? People dancing in the streets. The weekend before that was SparkCon with the circus people doing the circus fashion show, and then the drum circles, and the big tribute to Madonna, and Fire and everything, people dancing in the streets with drums in the middle of downtown Raleigh. And the week before that, Carol, was Hopscotch. Every weekend there's been monkeys dancing in the streets in downtown Raleigh for the last 4 weeks. I think this is a sea change in Raleigh's history, Carol. We will look back on September 2003 as the moment. 2003? 2003. Yes! We have been time traveling. I had a long day and a very busy day today, and I'm here, and we're going to talk about stuff. But 2013, 2003, Carol, why don't you catch that in my copy? The teleprompter was completely wrong. You've got the teleprompter telling me it's 2003. Anyway, I think we're going to see 2013 as it's kind of neat what's happening. Now, I'm sure that the city employees who clean the streets of Raleigh, Carol, they're not so thrilled. They're probably, I don't know, I don't mean to I'm not disparaging them, but I can imagine they're like, this is great for the town I live in, it's wonderful, people, yay. But after 18 weeks of this stuff every weekend, people dancing in the streets, I clean up the litter. So hats off, let's take a moment to give a hat off to the people who have cleaned up, the vomit outside Hopscotch and the fire outside the SparkCon, although they do a good job of cleaning up after themselves, those fire circus people. Anyway, so here's what we got to talk about. It's just been amazing about what's happening in Raleigh, and it's continuing. And tonight at Neptune's, there's this really odd experimental tape loop guy performing. He goes by the name Tape Loops on Twitter. And actually, they're starting, well, they said 8, but he said 8:30. So soon, if you're out and about and want to get some food at Garland or something, or Fiction Kitchen, 2 amazing little restaurants right downtown in that area, right near King's and Dawson Street and Martin Street and all that. See if you can head down to Neptune's. And I think it's donation only. They're just kind of passing a hat since it was a last-minute thing. But he's apparently a really well-respected electronic tape manipulating guy. And he's at Neptune's probably setting up right now at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. So let's get serious, Carol. We got to talk about the election coming up. We got to talk about the Pope suddenly being pro-gay. Well, sort of.
Not really.
The Pope is pro-gay now, monkeys. Did you not hear what he said? He said, leave the gays alone. That is what the Pope said, Carol. That is a clearly direct and defensible interpretation of what the Pope said. Leave the gays alone. Why are we focused so much on abortion and contraception and gay issues when we should be helping the poor? Leave the gays alone. That's up, I put that up there somewhere, Carol. It's one of the ones up there. The Pope, yeah. We got a lot to talk about, right? One of the women from Pussy Riot's been in prison in Russia for months now, in a gulag, basically. It's not quite as bad as the Stalin-era gulags, but from her description, she just wrote an op-ed that got published in The Guardian, probably gave it to her lawyer or something. She's been going through real hell, and she's continuing to become a target because some of the worst of the punishment she's getting, Carol, comes from other prisoners who've been co-opted by the guards to be their proxies. You know how that works? Like in the concentration camps, there were capos who were often recruited from the Jews to lord it over the other Jews. It's a lot easier that way. You get them to police themselves and turn in each other, right? Anyway, some of the worst stuff that's been happening has been coming from other prisoners at the direction of the guards. And I can't remember the woman's name in Pussy Riot who's still in the Russian prison. But instead of just taking it, and she says they're working 17-hour days, they're punished with lack of food if they don't make certain quotas, which are ridiculous. It's slave labor, basically. And instead of taking it, she courageously detailed it carefully and got it published in the British newspaper, The Guardian. Now they're saying for her own protection, she's in an isolation cell, right? Amazing courage. She could have just done her time, ducked her head, as hard as it was, and gotten out of there in 2 years, right? But she sees injustice where she is in one of the worst places you could possibly imagine to be in prison. A Russian prison, a women's prison where you're worked 17 hours a day, sewing police officers' uniforms. There's a joke. Slave labor, and she takes on the extra burden of trying to change that and draw attention to that, sacrificing herself in order to do that. Amazing. So what can we do here? I don't know. Maybe we can call Kay Hagan's office and say, are you aware of Pussy Riot, Senator Hagan? She is, right, Carol? She's got to be aware of it. Pussy Riot. Pussy Riot's on everybody's tongue right now. And we can say to Kay, God, you are such a lesbian. That is not what I meant. That was, I mean, I literally, maybe there was a little wicked part of me that meant that, but I did not mean that. Most of me did not mean that. So anyway, Pussy Riot's at the top of everyone's mind when you talk about Russian dissidents right now. And Shirley K. Hagan's talked about it. And so I think that, maybe what we can do is talk to Richard Burr and talk to Kay Hagan and say, hey, maybe we just want to alert you that we're concerned about this. This person has been unjustly imprisoned for a political artistic act. And she's imprisoned under really harsh conditions. And what we're seeing, if there's any leverage we can do with Russia, which we don't seem to have much, but if there's any leverage we can do, we want Pussy Riot on the table in these conversations. That's what we can say. And if enough of us call Kay Hagan's office and call Richard Burr's office and our House representatives too and say we want Pussy Riot on the table in the discussion, any discussions with the Russians, then maybe it will get brought up, and maybe conditions for all of those women in the prison where the Pussy Riot member is saying they're being worked as slaves. We'll see their conditions get a little bit better. It's the least we can do from here, right? So call Kay Hagan and say, let's talk Pussy Riot. All right, North Carolina Pride's this weekend, Carol. So the Pope has decided to support all the people in North Carolina who are gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender or allies, and come out with this thing that says, hey, leave the gays alone. Let's focus on the stuff that's at the core of the church mission. And this has always been the key. The focus on difference and the focus on gay people and lesbian people are the enemy. And that is the most vital threat to the foundation of society, is just insane. Gay and lesbian people building families, living together, falling in love, doing all the things that straight people do, and sometimes doing them in assless chaps. I concede the assless chaps point, but I'm not saying I think that's the best strategy for us, but I think public decency law should apply equally to everybody. If straight people can use assless chaps, then gay people should be able to too. But anyway, instead that vitriol, this is the most important. There's something really strange about the space that comes from. The fundamentalist anti-gay bigots. We see it with Orson Scott Card, the vehemently anti-gay Mormon science fiction writer who wrote Ender's Game, which is, admittedly, I read it once. I haven't read it in years. I liked it when I was younger. I'm sure a lot of people like it as a kid. But if you look at some of his other writings, and certainly look at his essays and nonfiction and journalist or columnist pieces, the guy's vehemently, vitriolically, look it up, kids, vitriol means like poison spew, the vitriol dripping from his lips, right? This vitriolic, aggressively anti-gay positioning that he puts himself in frequently, there's something really weird about it. We're not a fundamental foundational threat to anything. We're just people falling in and out of love, trying to be families, trying to be friends. That's so when you see that coming from someone, you have to wonder why that vehement focus on this. And the Pope acknowledged that last week. The Pope said, just cool it with that vitriolic venom dripping down your lips, anti-gay stuff, and let's focus on what's really important. Helping the poor, helping humanity, saving people, right? We see it with Orson Scott Card. If you look at it, something really weird is happening with him in gay issues. I think he might have been molested when he was young. Not that everyone who's gay was molested, but I'm just saying that some people really kind of have this thing, and you wonder what they're not dealing with on their own that leads them to have this vehement vitriolic point. Hey, what's up, man? You're on the air.
Yes, I'm quite upset about what you had printed on the bottom of the screen saying that the Pope is pro-gay.
Yeah,
I heard what the Pope said.
Turn down your TV, ma'am. Turn down your TV.
Okay, I am trying to.
Turn it down. There, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay. Now, that isn't what he said. I think what he's trying to say is we're all humans and we have to treat everybody the same. He's trying to do the Christian thing, but he did not say he was pro-gay.
Okay, I will admit, ma'am, you're right. I will admit that is an eyeball catcher. and it does not accurately describe his position. I am kind of tweaking his position to make a stronger point that it's been a long time, in fact never, that we've ever even seen that kind of rhetoric coming from the Pope. So this is a huge change in the kind of rhetoric. That's all I'm saying.
Right, please. I mean, you do some. The other day you had a great show, and I tried to call and compliment you on it, and then you turn around and put the pro-gay Pope.
Well,
that's not right. I'm Catholic,
okay.
And what he's saying is we're all Christians or hope to be Christian. It might not be Christians, but we have to not
not hate gay people. We have to not focus on hating gay people, right? Is that a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment,
okay.
I think.
I agree with you. That's a little strong. I'm the first to admit that I doubt that the Pope is really pro-gay. It's all okay. But would you admit with me, would you agree with me that this is the least anti-gay statement about homosexuality that we have seen from a Pope in the modern era? It's the least anti-gay statement.
But you know, what would our church build on? I mean, if you read the Bible where it says, it's abomination for a man to lay down with another man. I mean, it's in the Bible. We're told to believe the Bible.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll leave that aside. I mean, I think the Bible's a wonderful piece of literature, but I don't believe it the way you do. But that's fine. The point that I'm making is that what he's saying is very different from what the previous Pope was saying. The previous Pope vehemently, aggressively attacked the idea of homosexuality often. He took time out of his day to go after it. And the current Pope is very clearly, it seems to me, taking a position closer to your position, caller. A position closer to, we really need to focus on everybody with love and kindness. And you know what? Mm-hmm. I don't think we should be saying these vehemently, aggressively focused things about contraception, abortion, and homosexuality. That's what he said. Those were the three subjects.
Him say that.
That's what those were.
One thing I disagree with the Pope is abortion, unless it's for a very good medical reason.
Well, I think a woman's doctor and the woman are the two best people positioned to make that decision. But well, I don't disagree with that.
I think that's when you kill your own child, and that child has a much right to live. And, I just don't think that's right. I mean, you can either abstain or you can get contraception. You can do a lot
so
of
you're
things.
in favor of contraception?
Well, I have nothing against contraception.
Oh, well, now that makes you a little bit radical compared to the previous Pope. If you were a priest,
previous Pope, apparently I haven't been listening, but I never heard him say anything about gay people or contraception. I mean, our church
he was
knows.
vehement against contraception, the previous Pope was. He aggressively rejected the idea of any kind of contraception. So if you were a priest...
They should start using it where there's so many
this is good.
diseases going around. I really believe that helps them.
You're an American Catholic. That's very different in some ways. That's very different in some ways. But had you been a Catholic priest and saying those things, the previous Pope would have tried to have you excommunicated. Or at least shut up.
I don't know. You're putting words or thoughts into that, what you think would be.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
And that
That's
would
a good
happen.
point. That's a
and
good point.
you have a format there, and you can lead people to think one way or another.
Well,
and
I don't know about that, but I thank you for listening.
Well, I do listen.
Well,
and, I think you're a very interesting person. I don't know if I want you for a friend or anything, but you are interesting.
No, I'm very unreliable as a friend. Just ask Carol. Although I'm good with cats, right, Carol? She says that's true. I'm very good with cats. So if you have any cats that need looking after, call me. I'm your man.
Well, anyway...
Well, let me just say this though. You do agree that you're in favor of some uses of contraception. That is not a die-hard Catholic position, right?
Well, I can think
that's
for
a little more
myself.
Liberal. Okay.
But like I said,
this is progress.
The people that are gay don't want to be gay.
I do. Carol says she does.
Why?
Because it's what made us great. It's what made us who we are. It is who we are. I hate that argument. Like, why would anybody choose to be gay? Gay people often make this argument. Why would anybody choose this? We must have been born this way because, it's so hard. It's like, well, I grew up feeling even more of an outsider from the normal society than most folks. And because of that, that's just one reason. There's lots of other reasons that I grew up feeling a little outside the norm. Carol, stop laughing. But growing up gay has been a very strong and integral part of me and helped me come to understand things in what I think is a more interesting way. I'm not saying that needs to happen for everybody to have interesting thoughts, but it really helped me. So, say it again, Carol, what'd you say? It helps build empathy, Carol said. So we empathize more strongly with the downtrodden, underdogs, maybe.
I don't think so.
Outsiders.
She's totally wrong about that.
She's like, I've seen your show. I don't think you empathize much at all.
I don't know where she gets that. Maybe she's empathetic, but so am I, and so are a lot of my friends.
Sure, we're not saying you have to be gay to have empathy. But it helps.
You just said that she said that.
She said that that helped her develop empathy. It really helped her kind of have more empathy for being the outsider and seeing things from the outside perspective, which is useful. See, ma'am, this is why I think we're evolutionarily useful. Oh, probably a wrong thing to bring up, but I think it's better. It's better to have when people ask, well, what are gay people for? They can't reproduce. We've been parts of families for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and since we're not reproducing, we help the brothers and sisters and cousins and everybody else who's reproducing. We're available to put effort and energy into the children of the people who are having children. This is why the gay people having kids is just screwing up my whole evolutionary theory, Carol. But this is one of the reasons we keep coming up, I think.
Somebody else do it for them.
All I'm saying is that having gay and lesbian people in your family can be a benefit. Now that we're all having our own children, that may be changing, but I think, and we're doing it for ourselves instead of doing it for the rest of the family. But I think that's one of the reasons we keep showing up throughout history, if you're going to look at it strictly from a biology point of view.
Like I said, I don't think, I think that, whatever made you gay, you were born that way, so I don't think it's your fault. What'd she say?
She said 3 minutes. She was just saying we
well, I'll let you go.
No. Finish your thought. That's, some people don't believe we were born that way and that we choose it. I don't know that I ever chose it. I don't remember when I ever chose it.
Well, I know some people choose it. They thought they'd try it, and
and it's really fun and appealing, and no, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time.
Well,
no, but
anyway.
I think that we might have some space of agreement here, some overlap of agreement here, and I really appreciate your calling. I really appreciate your watching, and thank you for calling me out on that kind of eye-grabbing thing. It's almost like on websites when they do those terrible headlines.
Your headlines.
Yeah. Okay, I got called out by an intelligent woman tonight, Carol. Well, thank you.
Well, anyway, another question I have: what the heck is a Pussy Riot?
Oh, it's a Russian musical group. 3 women and a bunch of guys. They got arrested for doing a protest. Ooh, you're not going to like this. In a church. but
I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, but they the conditions in the women's prison that one of them is in right now are so horrific. If you go, I don't know if you use Twitter at all, but if you go to my Twitter page, well, if the Guardian newspaper is a British newspaper, and you can access this article there, where she writes about the conditions, and it's a very brave thing to do. It's a very brave thing for her to do. She's in a Russian prison, and she's talking to the world saying, help us. Now she's in isolation because of that. So she deserves a lot of respect for her courage. That's really what
people who do speak out usually get in trouble. Look at you.
I've managed to avoid the worst of it so far, but I imagine it's coming. Well, thank you so much. They're telling me I only have a minute or so left. So
okay, well,
thank you for calling.
To me.
Oh, no. Thanks for watching.
Okay, bye now.
Bye. Oh, what a sweet person. I do want to say something. This is probably the most important thing I will say today. Breaking Bad is ending on Sunday. The episode 2 weeks ago was one of the best hours of television I've ever seen in my life. I don't think the show overall is one of the greatest shows on television. It's very, very good, but I think it's got a bunch of flaws that keep it from being truly one of the top 3 shows of all time. But, what? 25 seconds. Breaking Bad is ending next week, this Sunday. What are you going to watch next? I'm just going to recommend this courtesy of North American Video. Shameless. The first 2 seasons are out on DVD. Excellent. Strong female character, Fiona, in the lead. Excellent. We'll talk more about it next week. Shameless. Watch it when you're done with Breaking Bad.